Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, also writing as Jennifer K. Lambert, both of us authors of epic fantasy romance. I am here with my first cup of coffee. Delicious. Today is, say it with me, people, it is Friday, woo-hoo, June 20th, 2025. And I am all about the dragonflies and wings this morning. I was just noticing this because I'm wearing my green dress, which has like sort of light gray blue dragonflies flying around it. I love this dress. And then my wind chimes, for those of you who've never watched the video, the clapper is actually a green wooden circle with a little bronze dragonfly on it. My earrings are not dragonflies, although I do have dragonfly earrings, but they are green and blue hummingbirds. So I don't know. I am taking flight today. I hope you all are feeling your wings. Um, yeah. So many of you regular listeners are probably on tenterhooks. Solidarity, Kev, who was told my Kev is my high school boyfriend, my first love, my first lover from way back. Who commented, sent me a message actually, I think it was just a private message, that his wife had told him that tenterhooks was an archaic term and that he should not be using it. But clearly, he and I understand each other, and so fist bump solidarity on tenterhooks. So I had my editorial meeting on Tuesday, and it was great. It was a really good meeting. Agent Sarah was there, editor Ali, assistant editor Diana, and we talked about NTR Book Two, as it is in the email subject lines. Never the Roses Book Two. Which I've been doing the working title of A Rose in the Mirror, which is clearly just not going to be because I think nobody but me likes that title. I don't know if I mentioned on here, Jennifer Eastep suggested Always the Thorns as book two, which is a great title also, but I don't think it's going to be that. We shall see. I am really attached to titles. I was having this conversation with Jim Sorensen yesterday at Writer Coffee about how when you first start out as a writer, you tend to be really precious about titles. Um, we get all creative and clever about our titles. And over time, you learn that that's a really bad idea, especially because in this day and age, SEO is everything, search engine optimization. And there are a lot of things about the clever titles that simply don't translate to SEO. Um, it's sad, but it's also, I don't know, it's the reality we live in. And this is the same advice I give to writers who get very upset about their covers. And I remember counseling this one gal who was a newbie writer and was very upset about the cover that her publisher had given her. And she said, I want my cover to reflect the contents of the book, which I actually do understand. And that's how we feel about titles too. Like they're these, I don't know, emblems or extensions of the book itself. And what I told her was, you have the entire interior of the book. You have all of those words, those 100,000 or 80,000 words to reflect the interior of your book, of your message. Leave the cover alone. Leave the title alone. A few more words, more or less, is not going to change the message of your story, right? So like mistakes I have made with titles. Some of my early Karina books, they were one word titles, and I know a lot of us love one word titles because they feel clever. I mean, like, especially if you can find that one word that encompasses several meanings and it feels so cool, and we are word people. And so we like that kind of thing. No, 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 no. It's terrible for SEO. Just awful. So I have those books called Sapphire, Platinum, Ruby, great titles, right? And I did these very clever things with it, right? Because they're contemporary, erotic, BDSM romance, and Sapphire takes place on the California coast, and Ruby takes place in New Orleans, kind of on the Gulf Coast, and Platinum takes place in Charleston, South Carolina, on the East Coast, and the three together make Red, White, and Blue, right? Nobody got this. Absolutely nobody. I don't know if I've even ever talked about it because nobody knew that. The fourth book in that series is called Five Golden Rings, which is in the Caribbean. So, again, on the coast, but it's the Mexican Caribbean. And I wanted it to be called Oro, Oro, which is Spanish for gold. So that like would have been the next clever thing. And my editor at the time, Angela James, completely overruled me. It was for like an erotic holiday anthology, and so this is it's Five Golden Rings is about the 12 days of Christmas and this woman on vacation in the Mexican Caribbean who gets involved in this very kinky love affair. Um, and he does something for each of the 12 days of Christmas. So Five Golden Rings is, yeah, um, a much more appropriate title, even though I was really annoyed that I didn't get to call it Oro. Um, but also, those titles are terrible for search engine optimization. So, yeah, I have learned that I'm not great at titles. Oh, the other title mistake I made was, again, back in my contemporary erotic romance days, the story I did for The Devil's Doorbell, which is actually a great title. We put together the anthology based on the title. Sorry, I was burping there a little bit and had to hit the wind chimes. I don't know why. But five golden rings. See, I just got completely discombobulated. The Devil's Doorbell, because like the Devil's Doorbell's the clip, the center of woman's pleasure is the Devil's Doorbell, and we would be like, ring that bell, ding ding. And I wrote a story for that. There were 7 of us in that anthology, which I coordinated, and it's really a great anthology, still available for purchase. Um, Although it tends to get buried and also in search engines because has all those bad words. We're only allowed to talk about the Devil's Doorbell if a conservative Christian is talking about it, not if somebody is like trying to repossess the phrase. Um, that's not the word I want, is it? It's like take back ownership of it, something like that. Anyway, it's a great anthology, and I'm not just saying that for myself. A lot of people have said it was a great anthology. But anyway, my story is called Exact Warm Unholy, which is a reference to a poem, and it does reflect the interiority of the story. Um, Nobody knows what this story is about, right? It's a terrible title. I mean, it's a fantastic title. It's also a terrible title because it tells people nothing. Um, and it's I'm noticing that there's like businesses that name their business for the search engine optimization, like that cake place on Broadway or something like that, so that when people put into the search, where's that cake place on Broadway? That's what pops up. And there's a practicality to that because really what you want is for people to find your cake place or to find your sexy story. And nobody really cares if your title is clever except for the writer. So, anyway, that's a very long way of saying that I don't know what this book will be called. And I am I'm cool with it. A lot of people say what a great title Never the Roses is, and I agree. It's a great title. My editor came up with that title. I had nothing to do with it, although she did take it from a line in the book. So there we are. I contributed. I helped. um, okay, so sorry, I've been like babbling off on other things and not telling you the thing you want to know. I'm assuming you want to know about the editorial meeting. So I had already told you all that they felt like the romance wasn't quite landing, which didn't surprise me a whole lot. But we've come up with ideas for that, and I'm feeling good about it. But then, as something of a surprise to me, Allie said she had been thinking really hard about how to take this book to the next level, because everyone agreed that it's a solid book. She said it was a killer story, yay, that we could go ahead with it as is, but that she felt like I could take it even farther. And this is the best thing about working with a really good editor, which Allie is. Allie's amazing and insightful. And so she suggested this additional layer of complexity, twist, complication, um, that would, she said she kept thinking about why were we meeting, why was this story the one to come after Never the Roses, and what was it doing? And yeah, it's actually a brilliant idea and very exciting. And amazingly, I mean, I've gotten up to page 57 now in the last couple of days. It's not taking that much to do. And Sarah had said, and I agreed, that it was really, actually, and it is, it's very flattering. It's a high compliment that they think I can do this. Yeah, that they think that I can, that I have the chops to pull off this idea. And I was like, I actually think I can maybe do this. I am trying to get it done before I leave on book tour. I don't have to, but it would be nice. And I might be able to, because as I've been going through this revision so far, it's amazing to me that it's not taking that much for me to add in this. It's hard to explain without giving away this story. This layer of complexity. It's changing one foundational detail that actually makes everything much richer. And maybe I can talk about it later, like after the book is published. This will be a good topic for interviews. Uh, but all I'm having to do is tweak. I'm not having to do all that much to bring out this whole other kind of facet of the story. And it's like it was already there in the bones. And I'm just having to change words here and there to bring out this aspect of the character. And it's actually really brilliant. And I feel like it's all Allie's brilliance, and yet at the same time, as I'm doing this revision, I'm like, oh, this was in there. This was totally there, and she saw it and made this suggestion to make me lift that up out of the bones I'd laid in. And I think that maybe in writing book 3, I would have found this, but it's like she already saw it, and so it's being laid in ahead of time, and it's really cool. And this, my friends, my writer friends, when somebody says, what's the point of traditionally publishing? You know, they don't do anything for you. This is one of the best parts, is when you work with a really amazing editor. And Deanna had great insights, and Agent Sarah had great insights too. And it's really cool to have this team of people look at your story and all want to elevate it, all want to make it better, and saying, ooh, what if the characters did this? What if the story did that? And that's it's really super cool, don't you think? I think so. So, yeah, so I'm working on that, and I'm feeling energized and excited about it. So that's great. And yeah, I had to pause a moment so I could think about like what industry political thing I want to talk about. Um, the current brouhaha. Actually, it's probably not a brouhaha. It's a kind of a funny thing. At any rate, there's this conservative magazine called like Evie that's been doing a lot to trash what they call smutty romance. And it's really a weird publication, but they ran this whole article and featured my friend Christine Siamaniscasta's book, Morning Glory Milking Farm. And they called it, the article title is The Porn Addled Brains of Monster Loving Women, something like that. And they're talking about how monsters have replaced men in fiction. And I mean, it's just crazy. And Christine is fantastic at marketing, so she's already created a T-shirt with the porn brained. Yeah, it's porn brained. Here we go. It helps if I actually look at it. Porn brained women of monster smut. Um, and she created a T-shirt for this, but she actually added "and men and NBs" to be inclusive because everybody can be porn brained. Uh, so But what's really interesting is in this same magazine, they advertise these things like milkmaid dresses, and it's always this young, incredibly boobylicious woman wearing an incredibly low neckline dress that like lifts up. I mean, it almost looks like you could milk her, right? And then there's always, and it's like always made out of some sweet material, like with little rosebuds on it. And then there's always a slit in the full skirt up one thigh. And she's even posing like kind of drawing up the slit to expose more of her thigh. And it's all this weird trad wife influencer thing, which is like these women and girls post photos of like them wearing these demurely sexy outfits, doing things like holding babies or whisking cake batter. And I mean, it's fine. It's fine if, but it's obviously a kink, right? It is this whole, like the pioneer woman, traditional wife, trad wife, um, kink, and which would be okay, except that like the religious right is trying to dress it up as something else, right? Like, oh, this is a proper example of womanhood, but it's obviously a fetish. And so they run these ads complaining about how the porn brained women love monster smut, and then they have this ad there for, but instead go with our slutty milkmaid. um, it's crazy, and it kind of leads into this whole influencer thing, right? Which is big business on the internet. TikTok and Instagram, these influencers get all of these followers and they advertise and they make tons of money doing this kind of thing, right? And so, like, this is the actual brouhaha of the day, is that there is this reviewer who has like over 200,000 followers on TikTok and has been posted to Instagram. I think, yeah, Instagram, showing how she had like she like did this her own self, where she showed her NetGalley account, which is an account that you have to review books, and how she was behind on reviewing all of these books she had requested, and how she went in and created fake reviews for all of them to bring her percentage back up, right? Because you have to have a certain high percentage of books reviewed versus how many you requested. And she brought hers up to, I don't know, like 84% or 90% or something. um, and she even says, I better create some fake reviews for all these books so I can get more. And she was like, don't judge, you do it too. And all of these reviewers out there who are like, no, we actually read and review, which is why we don't have that many books or that high of a percentage. And but it's this, I've seen, if you're watching this, I do feel you. The people who are very honest about, I request a book, I get an ARC, I actually make the time to read it, which if you're not a speed reader, it takes a week, maybe two. People have lives. And then to write a thoughtful review of it takes more time, but they don't have 200,000 followers. And it's like, well, so the I mean, it is with so many things these days, right? Is the answer to cheat, to be unethical if you want to get somewhere? And I'm going to tell you that no, because it's a hollow achievement, right? It's like an author using ChatGPT to write their books. It's meaningless. It's meaningless to you as a human being. Money's great. We all like to pay the mortgage and buy groceries, but our humanity is important too, no matter what they say. So, on that note, I hope you have a weekend full of humanity. I know there's a lot of awful, scary stuff going on in the world, but you can always make your corner of it humane and positive and wonderful. So, I hope you are able to do that, and I will talk to you all on Tuesday. You all take care. Bye bye.